And welcome to the annual Top 10 Movies of the Year. I am Darth Easy.
And I'm Randy Cage.
And this is our 6th year, I think, of doing the Top 10 Movies of the Year. And this was a very interesting year. I thought this year was a lot better than last year's Top 10. and I'm really happy with my top 10 with this year. So, you?
Yeah, it was. I watched a lot of movies this year. I think I watched a lot more than I did last year.
We're going limited, baby.
Yep. But yeah, a lot of good movies.
All right, let's get started. You want to start us off?
Sure. I'll go with my first 3 honorable mentions. My first one is 1917. This is the Sam Mendes war film. One of the only films on my list that you haven't seen yet, but this could very much be on your list. I think if you had a chance to see it, it's shot. It's very intense, and it's shot like it's filmed like it's one single shot through the whole film. You start on this morning, and you just follow these 2 guys. They're trying to get behind enemy lines to save this squad of troops, and it's very, very intense. It's one of the movies that doesn't have much in the way of story or backstory of the characters or anything like that, but it is some of the most intense scenes you'll ever see. Even when nothing's happening, you're just on edge because you feel like something could happen. And yeah, I really enjoyed the film. My second honorable mention is Zombieland Double Tap. This is the sequel to Zombieland that I thought, no way is this film going to be good. And it kind of almost blew me away. I actually liked it a little bit better than the original film, which is crazy. I really love the other film, but everybody here, it takes place 10 years after the first film, and Emma Stone and Woody Harrelson and everybody's back, but really Zoe Dutch, the new character, really steals the movie. She's really, really funny, and there's a large chunk of the movie where I just wanted to see what she was doing and hear what she had to say because she was so freaking hilarious in the film. And I could wait 10 more years and see a Zombieland 3, I think. But yeah, I enjoyed that. And then my last honorable mention is The Art of Racing in the Rain. Another film you didn't see. It was a very emotional movie. It's Kevin Costner does the voice of a dog, and Milo Ventimiglia, I don't know how to say his last name, but the guy from Heroes and This Is Us. He is this race car driver, and he gets this dog, and it's all told through the perspective of the dog, and it's just really, really sad film, and but I really connected to it, and it's just really well done. I highly recommend it. If you like movies like Marley and Me, I thought this was the best dog film since Marley and Me. And those are my honorable mentions.
Okay, like I said, I haven't seen 1917. Probably might be number 1 on my list, but I'll have to wait and see it and be sad that it didn't make my list. Like Zombieland, I don't think it's near as good as the first one. And Art of Racing Rain, you just put that on the list because there's rain in it.
It's true. I am Rainy Cage.
All right, my 3 honorable mentions. This was 3 movies that was really hard to cut off the list, but I had to do it. The first one was Fight With My Family. I love this movie. And this is coming from a guy who doesn't like WWE, but I think what really makes this movie so great was Florence Pugh, who is really one of the breakout stars of the year. She was incredible in the movie, and I love the whole family dynamic between Nick Frost and Lena Headey. And also, I really liked The Rock in there for the little bit he was in there, and I really liked Vince Vaughn in the movie. I thought this was a very good biopic story that I had no idea about because I don't give a crap about wrestling. My other honorable mention was a movie that just had a smile on my face from end to end. The entire movie was Blinded by the Lights. I'm not even a big Bruce Springsteen fan, but I really enjoyed the music of this movie. It actually might have turned me into a Bruce Springsteen fan. Movies have that way of doing that to me, and I love the story between the guy and his dad and how he doesn't want to live the life that his family is leading. He wants to live his own life, and he wants to be the boss. My last honorable mention is Knives Out. I didn't think I was going to like this movie because of the director's last movie he did, but I really, really enjoyed Knives Out. I love Daniel Craig. I love the whole cast. Chris Evans was great. Ana de Armas was great from Blade Runner 2049. I just love this movie. I love the whodunit kind of style, kind of Clue style, but also a callback to other murder mysteries like Rear Window and such. So I love this movie, but it could not make my list. And in the top 10, I'm looking forward to announcing the rest of this list.
Well, all yours, I liked all of them. The Knives Out was the hardest for me to not get in my list because I really freaking liked that movie. But it just got bumped out by another film we saw a couple days ago, and I just sucks. But yeah, your other ones are great. All right, my number 10 through 6. My number 10 is Us. This is Jordan Peele's follow-up to Get Out. And I like this movie a lot better than Get Out. I feel like it doesn't beat you over the head with the metaphors and things like Get Out did. And Lupita Nyong'o is freaking amazing in the film. I forget what her name is. Something Moss. This is our
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss. She was good in the film. The dad, I can't remember what his name is. He's from Black Panther. He's great too. The film is like really creepy. It's almost like sci-fi like, but I really freaking enjoyed it, and it surprised me because I was not the biggest Get Out fan. I enjoyed it, but I thought it was a little overrated, and I went into this thinking it's just going to be the exact same thing again, and it's not really. It's a very different movie, and I liked it. My number 9 is Jojo Rabbit. This is a Taika Waititi Hitler is My Imaginary Friend film, which when you can see the trailers you were like, what the crap kind of bonkers crap are we getting into? But it's really, really good. It's surprisingly, it's very funny. It's got a lot of heart. Scarlett Johansson is really good in the film. I really just was like, when I left the movie, I was kind of blown away by how much I liked it. And Taika Waititi, man, he plays Hitler in the film, and he's just really freaking funny. And they do a good job of making light of things that you wouldn't think. Yeah, that's my number 9. My number 8 is Parasite. This is the film that knocked out Knives Out off my list. I really freaking enjoyed this film. It's dark. It's funny. It's about this family of con artists, basically, that kind of get their way into this rich family's house, and then something else happens, and you're just kind of like, I don't know. I didn't know anything about this film going in, and it's a foreign film, and the whole movie's subtitled, but I really enjoyed the thing and found it very interesting. Can't wait to get it on Blu-ray and watch it again. My number 7 is Crawl, and I think you never did get around to watching this film. It stars a bunch of no-names, and it's basically, I think I've said this before maybe on our podcast. I know I've said it to you. It's the scene in Jurassic Park where they're hiding in the kitchen. That's this movie. That's the whole movie is that. It's very intense. I do like me some intense movies, and they're just trapped under this crawl space. There's a hurricane, it's flooding, and there's these alligators trying to kill them. And it is really freaking good. It's like on the edge of my seat, gripping the chair the whole time. And, it's got a lot of rain in it, so that helps too. And my number 6, if you would have told me that I was going to have one live action film on my top 10 a year ago.
Well, all these are live action things.
One live action Disney film.
Oh, okay.
I would have said, Lion King for sure. Lion King all the way. But no, Aladdin is my favorite Disney live action film this year. And I don't know if it's because I just don't really have the fondness of the original classic animated film, or it's just a really good film. I've seen this film multiple times. I think Will Smith does a great genie. It's his own genie. I love the music. I love the 2 stars, Mina Masad and the Power Ranger. What's her name? I can't remember.
Naomi Scott?
Naomi Scott, yeah. They're both really good in the film, and I'm looking forward to see what they do, later on. And what's his name? Guy Ritchie. Doesn't feel like a Guy Ritchie film. There's a few little Guy Ritchie feels to it, but most of it's its own film. And of all the, Disney animated movies that I thought I was going to love, this was not one of them. So I think the surprising factor of it kind of helped it push it up my list too. And that's my 10 through 6.
Okay, like I said, I haven't seen Crawl. The other 3 I've seen. I'll talk about those in a little bit. Aladdin. Listen, this doesn't even make my top 27 list.
27? Very specific.
Well, it's because I had 27 movies that made my list, and I had to figure out what was on the list. Aladdin wasn't even close to that. I liked Aladdin. Nowhere near as good as the original, but it was alright.
I wanted a musical in mind. I consider this the closest thing is the good musical you got this year.
Right, I like the music from the original better than the ones we got in this movie. Okay. My number 10 was a movie I just saw, and that was Little Women. I mean, I I did not know if I was going to love this movie or hate this movie, but I thought I was going to enjoy it. And it's been directed by Greta Gerwig, who did Lady Bird a couple years ago. A movie I really enjoyed. And it's got a stellar cast of a lot of great female actors, from Cyrese Ronan to Florence Pugh to Emma Watson to Laura Dern, for Meryl Streep for 3 scenes. I mean, this is a very good movie, and I love how the movie does a multiple timeline kind of story where you'll have you'll have the storyline that's in their present day, and then they'll go back in the past and how these sisters were growing up and everything. I thought the movie was just shot brilliantly, directed great, and all the performances were great. And Florence Pugh, I mean, I'm really liking this girl. I mean, to someone who I didn't even know who she was, and she was in 2 of my movies that were in my top 10 and honorable mentions, I was blown away with her. And Cyrese Ronan, I mean, just incredible work as always from her. My number 9 is Ford v Ferrari. God, this movie was so good. And it's being directed by James Mangold, who did your favorite movie a couple years ago, Logan. I thought this movie was directed so great, and this is a original movie made by a big studio. We don't see that much anymore. And for people that say that original movies are dead, no, Ford versus Ferrari, that existed. Matt Damon and Christian Bale play off each other so good. I don't think either of them will get nominated for an Oscar because they kind of knock each other out because they're both so good in this movie. I just thought this movie was incredible. The race car driving scenes are great, and the movie time just flies by. I just enjoyed the hell out of this movie. My number 8 is the sequel to my favorite movie of last year, Avengers Endgame. Wow, I mean, I was a little shaken from the movie when I first saw it, but after repeat viewings and thinking about the movie, I really enjoyed the movie. It's a culmination of 11 years of Marvel movies, 21 movies, I think, of Marvel movies, and you know, I just enjoy the hell out of it. I mean, there's some scenes that make you cry, especially one scene with when Tony goes. I just thought, holy crap. And I just thought this movie was just shot well, directed well by the Russo brothers, and the cast was great, and I love this movie. And yeah, my number 7 is Rocket Man. Man, Rocket Man blew me away when I saw it in theaters. I did not know much about Elton John. I've known his music, but then you're watching the movie and you're like, oh, he did do that song. Oh, he did that song too. That's cool. And in Taron Egerton, he doesn't do the Rami Malek where they just basically use the same audio from Freddie Mercury. No, Taron Egerton makes the songs his own. Is he as good as Elton John? Does he sound just the same? No, but that's not the point. And Taron Egerton was incredible. I did not think this guy had the range from just doing the damn Kingsman movies, but he was incredible as Elton John. Probably will not get nominated due to Bohemian Rhapsody last year, but he deserves it, and I thought this movie was great, and the musical numbers were just absolutely amazing in the movie. My number 6, he just talked about it, is Us. This movie blew me away. This movie completely sold me on Jordan Peele because it felt like a modern-day Hitchcock film. Every shot in this movie serves a point. There's not one wasted shot, and that's what I loved about this movie. Every scene you see, from the t-shirt to the untethered holding each other's hands and then the twist ending, I was just like, holy crap. You can look more into it, like the race stuff, but for me personally, I didn't really see it that way. I just thought I saw a really cool thriller mixed with like a Hitchcockian style. And Jordan Peele, I will see your movies for a long time because I did enjoy Get Out. I do agree with Rainey over here that it was a little overrated, but I still enjoyed it, and that is my 10 through 6.
Nice. I like all of them. I'd say out of all those, the one that didn't make my top 20 was Little Women. I think you did like that a little bit more than me. It may have not helped that I had some lady sitting off to me explaining to her kid, basically spoiling the movie for me because I've never read the book, and telling me everything about a minute before it was going to happen.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't very fun. But yeah, all those are pretty good. I think the Rocket Man and You're Blinded by the Light, I don't think I like those films as much as you did, but they're both pretty good, dang good films. But yeah. All right, my number 5 through 2. My number 5 is a film I was surprised doesn't make your list. Is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Tom Hanks plays Mr. Rogers. I am not a child of Mr. Rogers. Never watched the show really. I just maybe saw a few clips here and there. I kind of vaguely remember maybe it being on at my grandma's house back in the day, but I found this film surprising in it's not really about Mr. Rogers. I mean, he's in there and he's definitely a main character, but it's really about this guy who is trying to get over some things with his father. He's got a little bit of a troubled past, and it's about how he connects with Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Rogers almost helps him get through this trouble he's having in his life. And I just think it was very well acted by both this guy, I can't remember his name right now, and Tom Hanks as Mr.
Matthew
Rogers.
Rhys.
Thank you, Matthew Rhys. Yes, and they're both really good in the film. Even all the supporting cast is really good, and I don't know, I was just a little bit moved by the film, I think, more, and Tom Hanks is awesome. I mean, it's crazy. Every time Tom Hanks is in a movie, you just gotta, it elevates it to another level. But yeah, that's my number 5. My number 4, Joker. I was so negative on this film before it came out, more so than I was about Doctor Strange a couple years ago before it was coming out, because it's not in the DCEU. I didn't want a Joker origin story. We have our great Joker. I just was so many different reasons why I didn't want to see this film, or I didn't think this was going to be good, and it blew me away. I mean, Todd Phillips directs the hell out of this movie. It's super dark. It's amazing. And Joaquin Phoenix, if he doesn't win an Oscar for this film, it's going to be a crime, because I think he's definitely a shoo-in for it. I mean, he is phenomenal. I still like our past Joker, but he's my second favorite. And I really loved the film. And at the end, I didn't see coming. And surprisingly, they could turn around and proactively later on down the line blend this into a new timeline with maybe the new Batman if they got real crazy with it, but they don't have to either. I know there's talk of like a Joker sequel and stuff, so, but yeah, I was kind of blown away by the film. I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray and watch it again. My number 3, you talked about it earlier, Avengers Endgame. It was a 20 plus year finale to this giant TV show that we've been watching, or 20 plus film. Okay. Finale. And it's just, I loved Infinity War. I do like Infinity War better than Endgame, but it is a great ending, and I wanted there to be stakes. I knew that everything that happened in the snap was not going to be permanent, but I thought there's no way they're going to be able to bring these people back and not cheapen Infinity War, and they do it. Everyone that I thought, oh, if you bring back Zoe Saldana, I'm not going to hate it. And it's just, they found creative ways to do it. It's very emotional, like you said, when Iron Man sacrifices himself. And I freaking love the film. And I can't wait to see what our next 20 plus MCU films are. And yeah, it's a really good movie. My number 2, another final film of a crazy trilogy of films that I freaking love. It's How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World. I freaking love this film. Is it as good as the second one? No. It's kind of like Avengers Endgame in that way. But it's got, I don't think they could have ended it a better way in the final 10 minutes or so of this film. It's got a ton of heart. I like what they did with bringing Toothless a mate in the film. Does it have a weaker villain than the past film? I think so, but it's beautifully animated. The music's fantastic, and I'm glad we got an end to one of the best animated trilogies, maybe of my lifetime. I think so. Yeah, I love How to Train Your Dragon 3, and that's my number 2.
Okay, I didn't love How to Train Your Dragon 3. It was in my honorable mentions, way down the list, probably the 25, 26 list. But, I didn't care for the villain. I thought he was waste, and I didn't like the last villain either. So it's not really about the villains for me in the How to Train Your Dragon movie. It's more about the dragons. I did enjoy Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It was also one of those honorable mentions, but I like these 13 movies a lot more than I like that one. And I thought Tom Hanks transforms into Mr. Rogers. Will probably get nominated for a supporting actor nod. I enjoy those movies. So yeah. All right, my number 5 through 2. My number 5 is. You told me in 2019 that Netflix would make a movie that would make my top 10. I would have laughed in your face. And my number 5 is Marriage Story. My God, this movie. I mean, this movie never wants. I never want to get married after this movie. And you hear the horror stories of marriage, of kids. It's a modern day Kramer versus Kramer. Adam Driver is incredible. I mean, he had 3 movies that he was all good in. The third one, not so much. But I just thought he was incredible. Will definitely get nominated for this film. And just that moment in the apartment when he's yelling at Scarlett Johansson gives me goosebumps. And Scarlett Johansson, just what a hell of a year she had from Endgame to this movie. And I thought she was great. I think she'll get nominated. She'll probably win it this year. I do think that. I think she was absolutely amazing. And I love this movie. Also, Laura Dern was great in this movie as well. I love this movie. And yeah, it definitely deserves this high on the list. My number 4 is a movie he talked about earlier, and that was Jojo Rabbit. This was in my top 10 anticipated on our Easy Cage podcast. And I was like, you know what? I could really like Jojo Rabbit. And guess what? I really did like Jojo Rabbit. I thought this movie was great. I loved Taika Waititi's version of Adolf Hitler. I liked how at first he's more comical, and then as the movie goes along, he becomes more Hitler in it. And then I like it's about a kid who wants to join a big club. He wants to fit in with a bunch of group of friends. The entire cast is great. Rebel Wilson, best Rebel Wilson I've ever seen. Sam Rockwell was great in it. The guy who played Theon Greyjoy, he was good. The little kid and the girl in the house were great. I mean, this movie is just absolutely incredible. And also Scarlett Johansson, the shoes, man, the shoes. I just was like, oh my God, they did that. And Taika Waititi has become one of my favorite directors from this, from Thor Ragnarok, and even that last episode of Mandalorian. My number 3 is another Netflix movie. And this is a movie I've been looking for so many years, and that is The Irishman. I mean, it's Marty Scorsese bringing back Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and for the first Scorsese film, Al Pacino. Do I need to say more? I mean, this movie is just, it's epic. It's an epic. It's a 3.5 hour. I got up once to use the bathroom, and I watched the entire movie. And I love this movie. And I love 3-hour epics. I love Scorsese films. And I love the story of Jimmy Hoffa. I love De Niro's version, the narrative. I love the de-aging. It looks so naturally good. And this movie's just done so perfectly well. I just absolutely love this movie. I was shocked that 2 movies was better than The Irishman. My number 2 is The Joker. Oh my God, I just did not know this movie was going to be as good as it was, and this movie blew me away. Joaquin Phoenix, I don't think you can compare it to Heath Ledger because it's a completely different Joker character. It really is. The movie has nods to Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, both movies that starred De Niro, and De Niro is in the movie playing the comedian, just like he was in the King of Comedy movie, which was very good. I just thought this movie was great. The ending, I mean, when he shoots De Niro in the face, I was just like, oh my God. And
spoilers.
And it's just incredible. I love this movie, and that's why it had to be my number 2. So yeah, that's my 5 through 2.
Definitely some good movies on there. I enjoyed both Marriage Story and Irishman. Those probably would not have made, I know they didn't make my top 20. I think I had Irishman right on the edge there, but I think it got knocked off eventually. Both of those films, specifically Marriage Story, it was a hard movie to watch. And it's not one of them films, it's one of the, I kind of relate it to 12 Years a Slave, Marriage Story. It's got 2 great performances, but whew, I don't know if I want to watch that movie ever again. And Irishman was long. I guess it really resonated with you because, I mean, you were anticipating it, but it took me almost a whole day to get through it because I had to keep taking breaks and going and doing something else. But it was really good. The de-aging part, it's crazy. I didn't even really notice it. So I know everybody was like freaking out about supposedly how it looked crappy, but to me, I thought it just blended in. I couldn't even really tell when they were using it, so I thought it looked pretty damn good. But yeah, the other ones are great too. So now we're getting to our number ones.
Ooh, okay.
I'm ready. My number one, Dr. Sleep. I can't believe of all the classic films, the Shining is not one that you've really. I don't know. It just seems like something you would be super into. And
it's because it's a horror. It's a horror movie, and I don't gravitate toward horror movies. That's why.
I think in the future when you do get around to finishing The Shining and watching Dr. Sleep, I think you're gonna really enjoy this film. It's crazy. It's a film on its own. It is a sequel to The Shining, the book, not the movie. But they tie into certain things in the movie. It's really clever the way they do it. Ewan McGregor is phenomenal in the film, but Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat, holy crap, she's amazing in this film. I want to see a spinoff that we're never going to get because no one went and saw this movie, but a Rose the Hat film would be phenomenal. And they do this really clever thing where they just add more lore. I haven't read the books, so I was going to it completely blind. I think the weakest part about this film is when they try and tie it back into The Shining, which is in the last 20 or 30 minutes of the movie. Because I was freaking riveted. It's a long movie, and I was riveted all the way till that end. And it is a good ending, but I just feel like when they tried to rely on the past is when it got a little weaker. But I love this film. I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray and watch it again and again and show people it. And I hope one day you'll get around to watching it because it's really freaking good.
Will the past die? I never saw it. I can't say much, and you're pulling on me from the past few years before where I would not have my number. You want to have my number one on my list. So it's kind of a reverse of fates. We kind of changed roles. All right, my number one is one of the last movies I saw this year, and that is Parasite. I heard so many good things about this movie, and when you hear a lot of good buzz about the movie, you're just like, there's no way it could be that good. No, it's that good. Parasite is, I think, a masterpiece. I really do believe that. The cast, it's a Korean film, and this is the first time I've ever had a foreign film as my number one movie on my list. And I was just so blown away from the cast of characters, from them trying to infiltrate the house to get these jobs of this rich family, and then they bring in this like underground kind of part of the story, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is kind of very interesting. And then the whole thing with the social class war, and the movie was just so brilliantly shot, directed. The performances were all great, and and you would think watching a movie with subtitles the whole time you would get out of it a little bit and be like, I need a little English in my life. But you're like, no, I just enjoy the hell out of this movie. It was like a thriller kind of mix, and I just really liked the movie. And yeah, that was my number one, and I was blown away that this movie was my favorite movie of the year. The more I thought about it, the more I loved it. So yeah, that's my number one, and that's my top 10 movies, and that's his top 10 movies.
Pretty crazy.
That's right. So guys, that ends another top 10 movies of the year. We always love doing this at the end of the year. It's why we watch so many damn movies to get to the end of this list. So make sure you subscribe to Randy Cage at his YouTube channel for his quick, easy movie reviews. And they say I'm Darth Easy. And then check out my reviews every day sometimes. And check out the Easy Cage podcast that uploads every Friday.
Yeah, definitely check that out. We've got our top 10 anticipated for next year.
Yeah, you want to find out what you want to see next year? Check out that list. It might help you, if you want. So guys, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to see more, and tell your friends about Easy Nation. All too easy.
Peace out.